Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for joining me today for a video. It's going to be on the topic of zebras. You heard that correctly. Do not adjust your speaker. I know it sounds like a little bit of a stretch, but bear with me. We are going to look at some cards today from my two favorite sports, hockey and then baseball, that are loosely tied to the concept of a zebra. So let's start with the hockey. We're going to jump right into it, try to keep this to be a more brief video. But I have a couple cards in the background here that are doing a little bit of foreshadowing during the intro. And the first of which is this really awesome Wayne Gretzky that I received recently from my buddy Brandon over at Rounded Corners Sports Cards. When he included this and I did a video on that care package, I mentioned that there was a nice referee in the background here and that I was going to do a future video featuring some referee cards. And that is exactly what we're going to look at today. The black and white stripes of the NHL referee. And I have, I think, 5 total referee cards here to look at. And let's just get into them. These are all going to be from the 1990-91 Pro Set hockey release. But in this case, these are buybacks from 2020 Leaf Pro Set memories. Now, I've shown these hockey buybacks on the channel before. They're numbered to just 5. I've submitted some of them to SGC. But really what I've shown so far have been star players and Hall of Famers. But if you were collecting back in 1990, over 3 decades ago now, you will remember that Pro Set infamously included referee cards in their inaugural hockey release. And so I thought it was kind of neat to get buybacks of these referee cards. And I've been able to snag 5 of them over, say, the last 6 months or so, the course of the winter here. And we're going to start with this one, Dan Marueli. And what I love about this is a rare opportunity to see a fight on a hockey card. I believe I've read that the NHL or maybe the NHLPA or maybe both don't allow for trading card companies like Upper Deck, who has the NHL license today, to show fighting on hockey cards. I think it's a part of the game that they're slowly trying to eliminate and phase out of the game just due to reputational risk and CTE and things like that. But back in 1990, you would occasionally see the remnants of a fight on a card. And this is a great example here where Dan Marueli is helping, I think, a fellow referee in the background here deal with this altercation between what looks like a Chicago Blackhawks player. And he's got the old school suspenders on here. The jersey's being pulled up over his head. So some type of tussle there that Dan Marueli is involved in. And this is copy 3 of 5 of this buyback. I really dig these cards. Referees and umpires, they're not somebody that, or people that typically get a lot of cardboard representation. So I think it's kind of neat that Pro Set did this back in the day. And a lot of these hockey referees from this time period, they were like lifers. They would be referees for decades and they were fairly well known in the sport. So these are kind of cool. The back gives you a breakdown on the referee and a little bit about their career. And then in the bottom portion of the card, you get an officiating tip, which is kind of a cool touch. So there's the first one, Dan Marueli. I want to go through these kind of quickly. Here's the next, Ron Asselstein, or Asselstein. This is copy 2 of 5 of this particular stamped buyback. And this one provides some good juvenile humor because that is an unfortunate position and facial expression that Ron is sporting there. It almost looks like he is passing some gas or some wind there. So I always kind of got a kick out of that one as a kid. And I scooped these up with one exception, which will be the last one we look at, for definitely under $10, and I'm pretty sure under $5 a piece. So for, referee cards numbered to 5, I thought that, that pricing was fair. Here's a name that I definitely recognize, and longtime NHL fans will as well. Don Koharski. He was in the league for forever. Very well-respected referee. And this is also copy 2 of 5. Take a quick look at the back of his card in case you want to pause it. And as it says here, he was hired as an official in the World Hockey Association, the competitor to the NHL, all the way back in the 70s, and then migrated to the NHL in 1977. So great card there. And then this next one is pretty cool. Paul Stewart. To me, the photograph here looks so much older than it is. And he almost looks like Paul Newman, the movie actor, instead of Paul Stewart. But what's cool about him, he was a former player. He played in the World Hockey Association, the WHA. for the Quebec Nordiques. So not a very long career, but it's always cool to see somebody who played at the highest level as a player convert over to being an on-ice official. So this one cost me, I think, closer to $10, just because he's maybe a more popular referee. I'm not sure, or maybe it's the photograph, but another cool card there. And then the last one is one that I'm really proud of. I actually ponied up $20 for this referee card, if you can believe that. But there is a method to my madness, and it's the Kerry Fraser. Also copy 2 of 5. And what's significant about this, everybody in this day and age, especially post-COVID, I feel like everybody is trying to find or stretch the limits of like GOATs or greatest of all time cards. And in my estimation, Kerry Fraser is the greatest NHL referee of all time. He refereed more games than anyone else in the history of the league. I should have looked it up, but I believe his career as a referee spanned all the way from the late 1970s to like 2010 or something like that. He refereed over 1,900 NHL hockey games, just regular season alone. And I think his postseason stats are up there as well. So this is a little bit of a stretch here, just like the theme of today's video, but I would claim that this is a card of the referee GOAT. So that's why I scooped this one up, and I paid a little bit more for this one than I did for any of those previous 4. Definitely had a few competitors for this, and the bidding was kind of driven up at the last minute, but still, to get this for less than the cost of a blaster, very memorable personality and card from my childhood. And this is one that I think I will send off in my next SGC grading submission. I don't see myself grading too many of these referee cards, but where Fraser is the greatest ever, I would like to see that one in the SGC Tux. All right, so that does it for the hockey portion of the video. So thank you for sticking it out for 7 minutes. Any of you baseball fans that stuck it out through that. And now I have 2 baseball cards that are really, really cool to close it out here. And they have to do with my focus for 2024, which is Negro League players and the Negro Leagues on cardboard in my collection. Now, I've talked about the 2023 Prism baseball release, where they featured both Buck Leonard and Cool Papa Bell. But today's 2 cards are going to be from 2023 Panini Select. And I don't think I've shown anything from this set yet here on the channel, though I've scooped up a few. And Panini included those same 2 players in the Select release that they included in Prism, Cool Papa Bell and Buck Leonard. And one of the extremely rare and tough to find parallels in Panini Select is literally a zebra parallel. So check this out. This is the 2023 Select Cool Papa Bell Zebra. Now, I have only seen, I believe this is the only copy of this card that I have seen hit eBay in the 9 months or so, that maybe even longer, that the Select release has been out on the market. I'm not aware of any officially stated odds or print runs for these. They are not serial numbered, so there's really no way to know how many of these are out there. But I think they are extremely tough. And it's not just Cool Papa Bell or the card we're going to look at in a minute. I just don't see a lot of these, zebra parallels, period, for any player. I think they're similar to, in Prism, the giraffe parallel. So Panini apparently has this animal thing going on, where they're kind of really, really tough to find, even though there aren't any officially stated odds and they're not serial numbered. So I actually hemmed and hawed over this. The seller that had this listed wanted like $50, which is kind of crazy to me, but the longer time went by without me seeing even a second copy of this, the more I started to wonder if that maybe wasn't such an outrageous price, especially with this being a major collecting focus of mine for the year. Eventually talked him down a little bit below $40. And at the time, I really did wonder if I was overpaying for this card as much as I love it. But honestly, having never seen another one, I'm just really grateful that I scooped this when I was able to find one. And, I think the zebra parallel is especially fitting for these 2 players, just because of, the whole nature of black and white and the Negro Leagues and integration and segregation and everything that's kind of wrapped into that. It just kind of makes sense. So that's a sneaky tough Cool Papa Bell. And then, as I mentioned, the other player on the Select checklist that also in turn has a zebra parallel is Buck Leonard. And as you might have guessed, I was able to track one of those down as well. These two absolutely deserve the one-touch treatment, and I'm really, really glad to get the pair in hand. These are the only two Negro League cards on the select checklist, so these two represent a complete Negro League kind of team set of sorts of this incredibly difficult parallel. And I really love, even though I've seen it plenty of times before, I love the photograph on this Buck Leonard. Just awesome. And the effect is really cool too. It has like that wave effect over the top of the zebra pattern. So that is it. That's going to be a wrap, 10 minutes plus on the topic of zebras across hockey and baseball. Like I said, a little bit of a stretch, but hopefully you enjoyed this. Thought it made sense to group all these pickups together and finally get them some airtime here on the channel. So I'll be back soon with something non-animal related, I promise. But in the meantime, I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoy the hobby. Take care.